High Court suspends Prime Minister from duty. And also, Trump claims Israel agrees to Gaza ceasefire conditions. Good afternoon and Salam Malaysia MADANI. Thanks for joining us. I'm Brendan Lepore. Prime Minister Datuk Seri Anwar Ibrahim kicked off his three-day working visit to Italy, hoping to strengthen Malaysia-Italy ties and deepen strategic cooperation. The visit was at the invitation of his counterpart, Prime Minister Giorgia Meloni. Datuk Seri Anwar noted that the visit reflects the shared commitment to strengthening the long-standing bilateral relationship between Malaysia and Italy based on the principles and spirit of friendship, trust and mutual respect. The Premier added Malaysia sees Italy as an important strategic partner in the European continent, and Malaysia is committed to expanding cooperation in trade and investment, defence industry and the energy transition sector. Furthermore, as ASEAN chairman, Datuk Seri Anwar said the visit will also enhance the value of the relationship between the Southeast Asian region and Europe in the increasingly challenging geopolitical and geo-economic landscape. During the visit, Datuk Seri Anwar is scheduled to hold a bilateral meeting with his counterpart at Kiji Palace. The meeting will provide an opportunity for both leaders to take stock of the current state of Malaysia-Italy relations and explore avenues to further strengthen cooperation. Meanwhile, Datuk Seri Anwar highlighted that the government is willing to take hard and sometimes unpopular decisions to ensure development and projects that benefit the Rakyat can be implemented. He said despite criticism over government's move to implement certain policies such as subsidy rationalisation or tariff, they need to be carried out for the benefit of the people. Speaking at a meet and greet session with the Malaysian diaspora in Rome, he said various actions taken by the government were implemented to build more schools, universities and hospitals that will help the masses. The Premier shared that various programs and policies are being undertaken to ensure the country remains competitive. He also urged the Malaysian diaspora abroad to play the role of mini ambassadors for the country on the international stage. He said they should seize the available opportunities to strengthen their knowledge, skills and networks. This approach would enable them to contribute to the country.
Italians or Romans who see you, be attracted to what you do, what you say and how you promote interests of our country. So I always emphasize this point that you are actually our ambassador.
In another development, the Prime Minister has requested the Malaysian Embassy in Italy to immediately assist the Malaysian citizen, Dalila Zaidi, who was stranded in Milan after her passport was stolen. He said the Foreign Ministry has also been alerted to ensure appropriate action is taken to resolve the matter. Datuk Seri Anwar was responding to a post by Dalila on X in which she appealed for help after losing her passport. In a post, Dalila claimed she had attempted to obtain an emergency travel document from the Malaysian Embassy in Rome, but was informed that it was not possible due to the absence of an authorized officer to sign the necessary documents. Thailand's Constitutional Court has suspended Prime Minister Paetongtarn Shinawatra from duty, pending deliberation of a case involving her controversial leaked phone call with Cambodia's leader Hun Sen. The court said it had accepted a petition from 36 senators accusing Paetongtarn of dishonesty and breaching ethical standards in violation of the Constitution. The Constitutional Court judges unanimously agreed to accept the petition and voted 7-2 to suspend Paetongtarn from performing her duties. The court reached a decision to accept the petition for review, inform the petitioner, and permit the respondent to file a defence within 15 days of receiving a copy of the petition. Thailand Deputy Prime Minister and Minister of Transport will assume the role of acting Prime Minister while the court decides the case against Paetongtarn. During a 15 June phone call with Hun Sen, Paetongtarn reportedly discussed an ongoing border dispute. She allegedly blamed miscommunication by her her own military and referred to a prominent Thai military commander at the border as the opposite side. The leaked phone call was confirmed as authentic by both Hun Sen and Peh Tong-tan. On a related note, Peh Tong-tan has humbly accepted the Constitutional Court's decision to suspend her from duty as Prime Minister. In reference to the leaked audio recording, she emphasized that her genuine intention was to serve the nation and not for personal gain. Peh Tong-tan said she would use the next 15 days to clarify her intention regarding the phone conversation with Hun Sen. She also expressed gratitude to those who had sent messages of support and apologized to her fellow Thais for any distress or anger caused by the issue. Peh Tong-tan, the leader of the Pheu Thai Party and daughter of former Prime Minister Thaksin Shinawatra, was appointed in August last year, becoming Thailand's youngest and second female Prime Minister after securing a parliamentary vote. US President Donald Trump stated that he is not considering an extension of the 9 July deadline for nations to negotiate trade agreements with the US. He also maintained his skepticism regarding the possibility of reaching an agreement with Japan.
We've dealt with Japan. I'm not sure if we're going to make a deal. I doubt it with Japan. They're very tough. You have to understand they're very spoiled. I love Japan. I really like the new Prime Minister, too. Abe was one of my closest friends. As you know, the new Prime Minister is great. He's a very strong guy. But they and others are so spoiled from having ripped us off for 30, 40 years that it's really hard for them to make a deal. You know, it's very hard. As an example with Japan, they won't take rice, and yet they desperately need rice.
Trump suggested that he could impose a tariff of 30% or 35% or even a higher amount on imports from Japan, well above the 24% tariff rate he announced on 2nd April and then later paused. The Trump administration plans to prioritize securing trade deals with countries including India ahead of Japan in the days leading up to a 9th of July deadline when higher US tariffs take effect. The Republican-led U.S. Senate has approved President Donald Trump's mammoth domestic policy bill by the narrowest of margins, despite misgivings over delivering deep welfare cuts and another $3 trillion in national debt. Republican leaders had struggled to corral support during a record 24-hour marathon voting session on the Senate floor, as Democrats offered dozens of challenges to the most divisive aspects of the package. But Senate Majority Leader John Thune was able to turn around wavering moderates to deliver a 50-50 vote, with Vice President J.D. Vance breaking the tie. The sprawling tax now heads to the House of Representatives, where it faces unified Democratic opposition and multiple Republicans balking at the budget-busting costs, as well as slashed healthcare and food aid programs for poor Americans. Trump's bill proposes a $4.5 trillion extension of his first-term tax cuts, contentiously offset with $1.2 trillion in savings, mainly targeting the Medicaid health insurance program, as well as federal food aid. The package also rolls back billions of dollars in green energy tax credits, while providing a $350 billion infusion for border security and Trump's migrant deportation program.
Tomorrow, the next day.
Meanwhile, Donald Trump and Elon Musk reignited their bitter feud with the U.S. president, threatening to deport the tech tycoon and strip federal funds from his businesses for criticizing Trump's flagship spending bill. Trump suggested that his efficiency department should take a look at the subsidies that Musk's companies have received in order to save the federal government big money. In a post on his Truth social platform, Trump stated that Musk may get more subsidies than any human being in history by far, and without subsidies, Musk would probably have to close up shop and head back home to South Africa. Trump's comments came after Musk renewed his criticism of the U.S. president's sweeping tax cut and spending bill, vowing to unseat lawmakers who backed it after campaigning on limiting government spending. Musk's criticism of the bill has caused a rift in his relationship with Trump, marking a dramatic shift after the tech billionaire spent nearly $300 million on Trump's re-election campaign and led the administration's controversial Department of Government Efficiency, a federal cost-cutting initiative.
And I gave him a little special.
And yet to come, Israel expands military campaign in Gaza. Stay with us.
Menggosok baju sekaligus boleh menjimatkan elektrik.
Welcome back. US President Donald Trump said Israel has agreed to the necessary conditions to finalize a 60-day ceasefire in Gaza, during which efforts will be made with all related parties to end the war. He warned Hamas to accept the deal before the situation deteriorates further. Trump explained that Qatar and Egypt, who have worked very hard to help bring peace, would present the final proposal to Hamas. The announcement came just days before Trump is set to host Israeli leader Benjamin Netanyahu at the White House for high-stakes talks aimed at ending the ongoing conflict. The US president has been increasing pressure on Israel and Hamas to broker a ceasefire and hostage agreement and bring about an end to the war in Gaza. On a related note, Israel's military has expanded its operations in Gaza, where residents reported fierce gunfire and shelling days before a planned trip to Washington by Israeli leader Benjamin Netanyahu. The intensified operations came after days of mounting calls for a ceasefire. The Israeli army admitted in recent days it had expanded its operations to additional areas within the Gaza Strip. Rafat Hales from the Shujaiya district of Gaza City said airstrikes and shelling have intensified over the past week and tanks have been advancing. Another resident, Ahmed Alul, also reported fiercer clashes between Israeli forces and Hamas in recent days, saying that he and his family were forced to flee the tent they were living in due to heavy and random gunfire and shelling. Netanyahu previously announced he would visit Trump and senior U.S. security officials next week, amid mounting pressure to end more than 20 months of devastating fighting in Gaza. As Israel's military expanded its operations in Gaza, the International Committee of the Red Cross expressed its concerns, warning that the Palestinian territory's few remaining functional medical facilities are already overwhelmed. It said the intensification of hostilities comes as Gaza's already decimated healthcare system struggles to absorb a relentless surge in critical cases. Nearly all public hospitals in Gaza are shut down or gutted by months of hostilities and restrictions on the entry of critical medicine, supplies and equipment. The Red Cross said the medical facilities that continue to function, including the Red Cross Field Hospital, are overwhelmed and running dangerously low on essential supplies, including fuel and even body bags. This severely compromises their ability to treat the wounded or ensure dignified management of the dead. Furthermore, it said widespread evacuation orders were pushing Gazans into an ever-shrinking space and create panic among civilians and hamper the ability of first responders to reach those in need. Emmanuel Macron and Vladimir Putin spoke by telephone for the first time in over 2.5 years, with the French president urging a ceasefire in Ukraine. The two men also discussed Tehran's nuclear program, with Macron suggesting Moscow and Paris work together to de-escalate tensions. The French presidency said the talks lasted for more than 2 hours and Macron and Putin agreed to hold more contacts on Ukraine and Iran in the future. Macron emphasized France's unwavering support for Ukraine's sovereignty and called for the establishment of a ceasefire and the launch of negotiations between Ukraine and Russia for a solid and lasting settlement of the conflict. A Kremlin statement said Putin reminded Macron that the Ukrainian conflict is a direct consequence of the policy of Western states. Putin added that Western states had for many years ignored Russia's security interests and created an anti-Russian bridgehead in Ukraine. The Kremlin also said Putin told his French counterpart that any peace deal should be based on new territorial realities, comprehensive and long-term, and provide for the elimination of the root causes for the Ukrainian crisis. On Iran, the two presidents decided to coordinate their efforts and to speak soon in order to follow up together on the issue. A 16-year-old boy was killed and 8 others were injured after unidentified armed men attacked government offices and banks in Mastung, located about 50 kilometers from Quetta, the capital of Pakistan Balochistan province. The attackers ransacked official records and set them ablaze. Police and Frontier Corps personnel exchanged heavy fire with the assailants during the confrontation. Shahid Rin, a spokesman for the Balochistan government, confirmed that 2 of the assailants were killed and 3 others injured in the exchange of gunfire. He added that a 16-year-old boy was killed and 8 other people were injured in the firing. Deputy Commissioner Mastung Atar Abbas Raja said the security forces' operation against the assailants was ongoing. No group has claimed responsibility for the attack, and Balochistan Rich in natural resources has witnessed an uptick in attacks by separatist groups in recent years. In March, the Baloch Liberation Army carried out a deadly attack on a railway track, taking train passengers hostage and killing 31 civilians, soldiers and staff. At least 5 people died in a house in Buenos Aires due to a suspected carbon monoxide poisoning. The victims included 4 adults aged between 42 and 79 and a 4-year-old girl. A 3-year-old baby was rescued and taken to the hospital where the child is now out of danger.
Bomberos rescató rápidamente al bebé de 3 años, que lo llevamos con la ambulancia al hospital Subizarreta. Gracias a Dios está fuera de peligro, lo vamos a trasladar a los niños y está la pericia determinando qué es lo que causó. Aparentemente, por la experiencia nuestra, por cómo vimos los cuerpos, daría toda la impresión que sería monóxido de carbono, pero vamos a esperar la pericia.
Emergency services responded to a 911 call reporting unconscious individuals and upon arrival discovered the scene. The investigation is ongoing to confirm the cause, with initial reports suggesting a carbon monoxide leak from heating appliances as a polar wave has descended upon Argentina's capital, causing temperatures to drop to -1 degree Celsius. The National Meteorological Service had warned that on Tuesday, temperatures would reach freezing point in the capital, with sub-zero conditions spreading across the greater Buenos Aires area. Over in Mexico, police have discovered more than 300 corpses piled up, embalmed and abandoned at a private crematorium in Ciudad Juarez in the country's north. According to the Chihuahua Attorney's Office, the discovery points to negligence by the business administrators, with the remains found stacked without any order in various rooms of the building where the crematorium operates. Authorities said all the bodies are presumed to have death certificates as required by protocol for processing human remains. The local attorney's office believes that the vast majority of the remains had been waked and subsequently transported to the crematorium for incineration, with ashes to be returned to families. However, this apparently never happened, and relatives may have been given other material instead of their loved ones' ashes. A record summer downpour in China's central province of Hubei dumped more than a month's worth of rain in just 12 hours on the city of Xianfeng. This led authorities to evacuate 18,000 individuals to safety, shut down schools and suspend bus services. Gushing brown torrents washed away cars in the city of 300,000 as more than 350 millimeters of rain fell in one area. State media said water and power supplies were disrupted, prompting the closure of schools and suspension of bus services. Footage from state broadcaster CCTV showed severe flooding has inundated villages and collapsed a bridge in one of mountainous area of the province. A team was also seen preparing a drone to deliver supplies, including rice, to flood victims. Meanwhile, floods in the central province of Henan killed at least 3 people, with 5 missing after more than 220 millimeters of rain fell on 2 rural towns in 3 hours. Chinese meteorologists attribute the increase in both the intensity and frequency of rainfall to climate change, indicating that communities situated in mountainous regions are especially susceptible to flash floods, whereas rural areas are deficient in forecasting resources. Elsewhere, heavy rains in central Colombia led to the overflow of the Guayuriba and Ocoa rivers, causing floods and landslides in Villavicencio. A crater appeared on a street in the city as residents faced destruction, with homes severely damaged and 1 fatality reported. The local government identified 18 flood points in the city and the death of a 69-year-old man. The flooding disrupted mobility and led to the temporary closure of the main road connecting Villavicencio and Bogota, as well as the suspension of drinking water distribution service in the area. And next in sports, Real Madrid beat Juventus to...
Lebih menjimatkan memasak dengan jerit penuh.
Starting with football, Gonzalo Garcia's 54th minute header was enough to give Real Madrid a 1-0 win over Juventus at Hard Rock Stadium and book their place in the quarter-finals of the Club World Cup. It was an impressive display from Xabi Alonso's Madrid side, and adding to a positive day, Kylian Mbappe made his return from illness. The first half was nothing to alert the momentum of the game, with Real creating several chances. Dean Hersen. And moving on to tennis, world number 1 Jannik Sinner eased effortlessly into the second round at Wimbledon as neither the stifling heat nor fellow Italian Luca Nordi could knock him out of his comfort zone. Unfazed by the searing heat, Sinner barely broke sweat in a 6-4, 6-3, 6-love victory lasting just 1 hour and 48 minutes on court 1. Returning to the Grand Slam stage for the first time since his epic French Open final defeat by Carlos Alcaraz, the 3-times major winner had a much less testing workout against world number 95 Nardi. Playing against Nardi for the first time, Sinner had little trouble dispatching the 21-year-old. Sinner has failed to reach the Wimbledon final in his 4 visits, with the last 4 appearances in 2023 ranking as his best effort. Sinner has won 3 of the past 6 Grand Slams, but the 23-year-old blew a 2-set lead and wasted 3 match points as Alcaraz staged a comeback for the ages to win the French Open final. The Italian's Wimbledon preparations were also dented by a shock last 16 defeat against Alexander Bublik at Halle. He will next face Australian player Alexander Vukic in the next round. In another match, 7-time Wimbledon champion Novak Djokovic was made to work hard after a strong start as he began his bid for a 25th Grand Slam title by beating unseeded Frenchman Alexandre Muller 6-1, 6-7, 6-2, 6-2 to reach the second round. Djokovic powered through the opening set against Muller by winning 6 games on the trot. Muller put up much more of a fight in the next set, saving 5 break points to hold for all and forced a tie-break where he raised his game again to battle from 2-5 down and draw level in the match. Djokovic caught his breath when he took a medical timeout early in the third set for a stomach problem before going up 3-2 with a break after Muller hit his sixth double fault of the match. Having wrapped up the third set, Djokovic racked up a 4-2 advantage in the fourth set with an exquisite backhand winner, and there was no looking back from there as he completed the victory by holding to love. In the women's singles, world number 10 Coco Gauff tumbled out of Wimbledon in the first round. Gauff arrived at the All England club with high hopes after winning the French Open last month, but was beaten 6-7, 1-6 by Ukrainian world number 42, Diana Yamstreska. The second seed looked out of sorts on the court, one slick surface, slipping several times early in the match. Yastremska took full advantage with a series of winners from the baseline before wrapping up the set with a volley. Gauff suffered a total of 9 double faults, shaking her head in disbelief as she lost her serve 3 times in the second set. Yastremska from Odessa screamed in delight as Gauff hit the net with a backhand error to send the world number 42 into the second round. 21-year-old Gauff suffered her earliest Grand Slam exit since another first-round loss at Wimbledon in 2023. The two-time Grand Slam champion said she would learn from her experience, suggesting she would like more grass-court tennis in the build-up to Wimbledon in the future.
Terima jentera moped berbagai kategori terus menggegar dalam perlumbaan motosikal Petronas Malaysia Cup Prix musim 2025. Dengan jiwa kelajuan, nantikan pecutan kemenangan setiap pelumba hanya di RTM.
Bersihkan penapis penghawa dingin dan tetapkan 24 darjah Celsius untuk lebih jimat.
And that's all from us today. In our top story, Thai court suspends Prime Minister from duty. Tune in to Malaysia Tonight, coming up 8:30 p.m. on TV1 and saluran Berita RTM. Till then, I'm Brendan Lepal, Malaysia MADANI, Rakyat, Disantuni. Thank you for